Peace and blessings again. It's your girl, Lashiba. And I just wanted to talk real briefly, and I mean real briefly, on a little topic. Kind of the concept of, some people who are awakened. Um, and they seem to be really, 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 really focused on getting out of this reality or this realm. And when I say that, what I mean is they're focused on being God, or more, or more specifically, elevating their consciousness to another realm, or being as God, or whatever. And I'm thinking that people aren't totally realizing what God encompasses, or I don't think they've actually really, really, really meditated and figured out what God is, or what that word even means. I'm starting to see a whole lot of things, and I've been seeing them because they've been revealed, which is where things should all come from. Information should all come from us. We shouldn't have to get it primarily meaning first from a book or anything outside of ourselves. All the answers to everything are within, and the clarification is within, and the deep understanding and overstanding of it is within, and it comes from within. So I've been shown, because I was looking for it, certain things that clarify what's going on with all these other religions who seem to have a whole slew of deities that they worship, and they're what mainly the Christian and I guess Judaism and I guess Muslims now we call polytheistic. But what I've really been shown is that these other religions, like I guess the Egyptians, the Romans, the Indians, were not even polytheistic, because I read the book Sacred Woman by Queen Afri, and she talks about nature, and then all these kind of manifestations of nature, and they weren't polytheistic. I think some people do still miss the point, and I want to just like point blank ask people, like, do you really think that these beings existed and they were actual gods that are in another realm above us or something that we're worshiping? My answer to that, my understanding of that is it's yes and no. I came across this term, and this is a term that I really like because it kind of explains things. In the, I guess you would call it the Hindu religion or the Indian philosophies, there's this term called Paramatman. Hope I'm saying that right. Or Paramatman. And it's defined as the absolute Atman or supreme soul or spirit, also known as super soul or oversoul in the Vedanta and yoga philosophies of India. Paramatman is the primordial self, or the self beyond, who is spiritually practically identical with the absolute, identical with Brahman. Selflessness is the attribute of Paramatman, where all personality, individuality vanishes. The word stem Paramatma, pronounced Paramatman, I might be saying it wrong, is formed from two words: Parama, meaning supreme or highest, and Atma, which means individual, spirit, or soul, or self. The words Atman generally denotes the individual self, but by the word Paramatman, which word also expresses boundless life, boundless consciousness, boundless substance, in boundless space, is meant the Atman of all Atmans, or the supreme self, or the universal self. The word Atman, which literally means non-darkness or light, is Brahman, the subtlest, indestructible divine existence. The word Paramatman refers to the Creator. Now, the way I've been explaining in my videos who God is, or the first cause of all things, is the way I usually put it, is that we have to look at it on two different levels. There's God within. There's your highest expression of yourself, which is ultimately God, or the first expression of all things. Because if there was one, everything had to come from that. The simplest way I can put it is we're all expressions of that one first expression. If you think about it, I don't understand why people say, especially, oh Lord, Hebrew Israelites, they act like the other nations were created by some other God. And even if they were created by some other God, some demonic God, the devil, because that's what a lot of them say. There's the seed of Cain, the serpent seed, and they were created by Eve having sex with the serpent in the garden. Let's think about that. So let's say he did have sex with Eve in the garden and created this serpent seed, Cain's lineage. Back up one. Let's go back one. Who created the serpent? Who created Eve? They have the same parent, correct? You can't deny this. So just keep going back, go back, go back, go back. The one you call God, Yah, Yahweh, whoever, whatever you call him, they'd have created Satan too, right? So Satan has a father. Satan didn't create himself. So there was a lineage, someone before him, or her, or him, her, or however you think of Satan. I'm just saying, think about that. So when people say, oh, these other nations were created by demons or fallen angels, well, who created the fallen angels before they fell? These are things you should think about. Just, things to help you think. So, the real reason why I'm presenting this video is because, people are so focused on going up into another realm or another consciousness. Actually, what got me to think about this is what my sister wrote on Facebook. She wrote, immaterial, pure consciousness does not mean abandon the material realm. It means to consciously understand all things relate to you and are made for good. And what I'm getting from that is that, people have been taught erroneously that this body, this flesh, is sinful and it's evil and it's bad. Now, the only way for you to correct that programming is to correctly define the words evil, sin, wickedness, trespass, all these different things. And also, as I always say, apply the Bible to self. Stop applying it to everybody else. Once you apply it to yourself, then all this other stuff that's happening around you will make sense. You understand reptilians. Let me tell you this. If you understand that you yourself have a reptilian brain, and you yourself once operated out of that many aeons ago, then you will stop pointing fingers at the ones that are operating out of their reptilian brain now. Because I was once, when I first started to wake up, I saw that and I was like, you know what, dang, this government, these people out here, they are evil. They're reptilians. They're horrible. But guess what? Once I understood reincarnation and evolution, going from a simple organism and evolving, then I saw that what I'm looking at are just people who are behind in the evolutionary process. Does that mean that they're not going to get to the so-called level I'm at? No. That means they're just not there yet. Let them evolve. That's what love is. If there was no one with a higher consciousness on this planet, or not even just on this planet, in the universe, period, then nothing would evolve. You have to have that energy. It has to be put out there. That's love. That's what it means by loving your enemies. We're not talking about sitting down and having meals with them and kicking it with them. That's not necessarily love. There's such things as tough love. There's such things as loving from a distance. There's all kinds of love. There's also a time for hate, as the book also says. So, and hate does not mean, I'm telling you, you got to look at it in the Hebrew. You have to define these things for yourself and totally understand what they're talking about. Hate does not mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean that we're friends. There's love and there's be loved. There's people who are more closer to you. There's inner and outer courts. You've got to think of yourself as the temple, because the book is a guide. It's trying to show you how you should interact with people, how you can evolve more easily and painlessly if you would understand it spiritually instead of only understanding it carnally. These people who walk around calling people carnal, they are the most carnal people in the world. If you can hear what I'm saying and you understand, I'm talking with the spiritual ears, take this advice to heart and, have this human experience be a lot more pleasant for you if you would take it spiritually instead of carnally. You cannot apply it to other people. It's going to take you a long time to get all this stuff applied to yourself. So you might as well stop now and just say, okay, this whole book is about me. It's not about nobody else. So, the whole thing of trying to escape this body, we're in this body to learn a part of God. Everyone walking around is an expression of God. So when you see a person who's acting evilly, that's still God, whether you want to believe it or not. Because let's go back. Who is Satan's father? Or who is Satan's generator of, progenitor of a generation? I think that's how it's defined. Father is not necessarily a masculine word, even that's what we've been taught. Father is kind of the beginning of the lineage. So you got to think of it like that. Because the Bible even gives you a very clear picture that God is masculine and feminine. If you look in the book of John, it says that the father of Adam was God. Well, if you go back to Genesis, it shows you that a man should leave his father and mother, not just father. So this whole doctrine that God is male is erroneous. That's wrong. You cannot create with 3 men, 2 men, or 1 man, or however you want to look at it. Because like I said, different religions, they try to pick apart different things, and they'll say, well, there's no Trinity, but there is a Father, God the Father. There's no woman. I'm not even saying there's a woman. I'm talking about energy. I'm not talking about genitalia. I'm talking about energy. It's very simple. So for you to even think that when I say that there's a male and a female aspect, that I'm saying that it has something to do with genitalia, that's still being carnal. I'm speaking spiritually. I'm speaking of energy. I'm speaking of light. Okay? So it says in Genesis, like I said, these are things that you have to do to connect the dots. You put these things together. One scripture says one thing, you go back to the other one, you connect it. If Adam's father was male and female, what tells you plainly in Genesis that a man should leave his mother and father, not just father. And nature itself teaches you that you cannot create without masculine and feminine energy combined together. And in Romans, it tells you that for you to know, there's no excuse for you not to know who God is. Because it's been shown to you in the things that were created. Look around. You will not find, let me put it like this. You can find certain species that create, without the benefit of necessarily having a male partner. But what you also find male and female in human species, they have to come together to create. And in any kind of cells that create without a specific, what we would conceive as, trying to think of the word, a male partner or a female counterpart, those things are actually showing you a more earlier form. That's what people don't get. This is about evolution. And I think because we've been taught to separate creationism from evolution or the Big Bang Theory, let me tell you, all these things are true. All of them. You have to combine them all and see how they all fit together in the big picture. If you see any species of animals that is creating without what we see, male, female, if they're cloning something, then that is a example of an earlier form. I can't think of anything. I really need to get like specific examples, but I do know that people have mentioned certain species that create and they don't necessarily have. I think it's frogs and certain, good grief, I can't think. I think it's frogs actually. But if I'm wrong, let me know. That's why I'm always wanting people to kind of teach me, show me some different things so I can give you specific examples. But I know there's all kind of different ways to do things. So, I don't understand why people reject this human experience. They're so focused on getting out that they have not mastered this. This is a part of God too, this experience, the human experience. I was reading about, always kind of related to the light spectrum. You have black, all colors come from black. Then you have white, and that white, pure, light goes through the prism. And what happens when it goes through the prism is the light slows down, so you can see it. And then when it slows down, what do you see? You see a rainbow, or a prism, or not a prism, but a rainbow, and the colors that we associate with the chakras that are in the physical body. And I think some people get stuck on that. They don't think about there's other realms and other heights beyond just these 7 chakras. And there's like 12 chakra systems and 120, chakra systems. There's more. So it's not just the 7. And like I said, people get stuck. But there's more. There's more, a whole lot more. So, if you think about it, if God, let's say God represents the darkness, and I know this throws people off because they think, well, darkness is not light. Light is the absence of error, the absence of separation, and that definition of that word that in the Hindu that I just read to you, that's what that is. That's what God is. That is the creator. So the different the Romans, the Egyptians, the Indians, all these different religions or schools of thought, they're actually showing you the different expressions. Indians call them avatars. Okay, they're called like models or archetypes. When it's not separate, you're seeing the separateness so you can experience all the parts and aspects of God. This great, boundless, endless consciousness. It's a lot. There's a lot more to it than just one God and that's it. And then you just create all these things and just all under him. That's not what this is about. If you really meditate and really focus and really think about what's really being said in these other religions, and you'll see how the Bible is actually saying the same thing. And I hope I'm being clear. I understand it because I understand it from a personal, within kind of viewpoint, instead of externalizing it to where, I'm seeing myself separate from everything. I am a part of everything and everything's a part of me. And for everything else to evolve because it's a part of me that's sick, or not necessarily sick, but not operating in its full capacity, I put out this love and this vibration and this spirit of unity and harmony so that they can evolve too. It's like an energy. And I do believe that that's kind of like the masculine energy to spark that creation. Because I see that the error in the world is chaos. And for that chaos to be subdued, I could be saying this backwards. And for that chaos to be subdued, that energy has to come in there. Because masculine energy is like encompassing and it boxes it in, it pulls it in. Feminine energy is like it's everywhere. It's like this unlimited potential. Actually, I'm not saying it backwards. That's exactly what it is. When we study the attributes of the left brain and the right brain being masculine, right brain being feminine, if you really just pull out every resource that there is and break that down, you'll understand what I'm saying. Also, sacred geometry. If you'll see that there's, let's see, in the Fibonacci sequence, it starts with like a spiral, but then you can also do this like square box thing around it. I'm sorry I don't have pictures or something, but you can look it up, Fibonacci sequence, and then like sacred geometry and things like that. And you'll start to see what I'm talking about. And then compare that to the left brain, the right brain, the feminine and the masculine attributes. So feminine energy is like this, just boundless. It's like space. It's everywhere. It encompasses everything. But to bring it in and create something and bring it down to where you can slow it down and see it, break it down to all its parts, you start the process of creation. I hope that makes sense. It's way more to this than what we've been told outright. It's all around us, but we've been blinded to it due to programming that tells us this is God and someone on the outside telling you what it is, instead of you seeing it from the inside and then seeing it manifest on the outside so you can understand it totally. So I'm just want to encourage everybody that to enjoy this human experience. And the most important thing in this human experience is love. It's not escaping anything or seeing error and flaw in other people. It's seeing how that person's a part of you and how you can help them by doing certain things and how you can put that positive vibration out there that will actually cause them to evolve so we can all be one body. Which again, the book says that. So, with that said, like I said, if I wasn't clear, give me some feedback and I'll try to explain more. I see a lot of things, it's pictures in my head, but this is the thing. When I start reading, like I said, the definition I just read, that makes it more clear. And I don't think I can even explain it to you. It's something that you have to meditate and ponder for yourself, and then it will become clear to you, and then we can talk because you'll start to see what I'm seeing. So I don't get what I see in these definitions from books first. What I do is I get it and I understand it, and then I can find it in the books, and then I have to try and bring them together, which is what I'm trying to do now. Try to bring together what I'm seeing in my head with what's printed in the book, and I'm gonna get better because that's what I'm working on now, uniting my feminine with my masculine, so I can create something that is understandable for everybody. So yeah, try look into that. Look into that word, which was, I'll spell it for you. Paramatman, and it's a part of, like I said, the Hindu religion, which is not the end all to all understanding and truth, but it does explain that they do believe in a one God, and it kind of explains how Jesus was able to say, "You are gods." Okay, what does that mean? If you start studying, so that's the only way you're going to get it, because actually Jesus was a very Hindu, Indian, Egyptian. He did speak of these things. We have just been programmed not to see it. Alright. Peace and blessings, y'all.